two things that most businesses in your revenue level are spending money on right now, real money. And I want to talk about what they can do and what they cannot do. And the difference is many people are confused by this. If you look at what is online, they're going to tell you you need to rank in the top 3 on Google, and that you need to have so many Google reviews, and this makes the largest difference. And that simply isn't the case. It first comes down to positioning. Let's talk about what Google reviews and Google rankings can and cannot do. And this is more of a placement strategy. Remember, placement is being at the place where your buyers want to buy. Not at where you think they're going to be, but at the place where they want to buy. Or a lot of information, searches, etc. It's online. So let's talk this through. And let's deconstruct what's really happening. So both Google search rankings and Google reviews have a legitimate place in your business. And you need to be aware about them. Be aware about how to use them most effectively, or this can be extremely costly for you and you're not going to see your return on investment. Remember, we want revenue growing in the bank account, not just vanity metrics. Google rankings is a placement decision disguised as a promotion. You're all going to hear this term. You might have heard search engine optimization or SEO. So what is SEO? All SEO is you go into Google and you start typing roofers in the Phoenix area, and then you're going to get a result. And what they'll tell you, and what you'll have a lot of people, is we'll get you in the top 3 of Google within 4 weeks. There are some legit things that can help you, but most of the time it takes months to get into the top 3 organically. What they call white hat methods, not black hat methods. And here's the thing, no matter what you do, it's like going to a casino where they change the rules once a quarter. So Google is constantly updating their algorithm. And what you're going to see is right now, the name of the game is changing because AI, otherwise known as LLMs, large language models, there's a shifting landscape of where people are finding their data. And it is moving slowly to AI. So what was a Google ranking before, it might have been very important as a placement decision, is becoming less important as each quarter goes by. So let's talk about SEO. It is not a promotion strategy. It is not a brand awareness strategy. It's a placement strategy. If people don't already know about you, they're less likely to click on you. It is first and foremost and only a placement strategy. So here's the structural problem that no SEO agency is going to tell you. When you optimize for SEO, let's say you're going to optimize on roofers. You're going to say roofers near me. When you put that search into the query, the first 3 to 4 results are going to be paid, or PPC, pay per click. And so they're going to come in and they're going to say, hey, if you're here and someone clicks on you, then you're going to pay us this money. So what does it really mean? Let's take a real life example. Let's take roofers in the Phoenix area. If you look at the word search benchmark data in 2025, that price was around $10.70 per click. Now, if you have a catastrophic event, let's say you had a big storm come through, a lot of roof damage, that's going to go from $10.70 up to $60 a pay per click. Now, best case scenario, doing the math, let's say you have a 3.7% conversion rate, which means somebody clicks on your site, they fill out the form, and you have the ability to contact them. At a 3.7%, which is really, really good, you're now paying $228 per lead on that $10.70 pay per click. That's a lot to pay for a lead. Now, if you don't have any positioning, any specialization, like in, hail damage, specialize in insurance negotiations, flat roof, any one of those, commercial business, what happens is now you're into a commodity war with all the other roofers. And typically people call 2 or 3 roofers to help get a quote. So now you've come to who's going to give you the cheapest price. And most people, typically speaking, pick the cheapest, if all other things being equal, if there's not one big outlier. So by not having a positioning strategy, you become into a pricing war because you focused on this as a promotion activity, not a placement activity. and you're thinking it's a promotion activity. See how that math doesn't really work? Here's another example. Let's take restaurants. If you look at the WordStream data for 2025, if you type in restaurants near me, typically it's going to cost about $2.05 on a pay-per-click. But what has happened? In 2025, that conversion rate has dropped almost 20 percentage points. So now you're even worse off than you were before. And if you look at like your average meal, your average ticket per person, let's say it's run $25. That's at least 10% of that going to the pay-per-click. Maybe it might be 20, 30% of the cost of the overall on that pay-per-click. Those are horrible, horrible numbers to go after. And here's the thing that no one's telling you. Google right now, with this AI rat race going on, they're also trying to finish that sooner. So what you're going to find is even though you might pay for a sponsorship or pay-per-click, what fills out in the AI is going to be a lot of times where customers don't even do a click to choose a place to go eat. So you paid all this money and it's not giving you. That's why I said it's a placement strategy, not a promotion strategy. If you're using Google and pay-per-click, right now they have the highest pay-per-click rate in the industry at $8.58 per click. That's just for generic, lawyers near me. Now, if you get more specialized, immigration attorney near me, that rate goes up to $70 to $225 per click. Now, some of these firms that are big national firms, they can afford this. If your average cost per click or cost per customer lead is growing north of $200, you must have a very high ticket item that's going to result. Malpractice attorneys, absolutely. It happens. But it becomes a very expensive venture to go after these type of clients. That's why, again, you have to understand a placement. Now, if you have specializations, like let's say your EB1, specialization, that is part of your practice. Now, that cost per click goes way down because there's not a lot of people pushing EB1s. This is an international play for very experienced researchers, scientists, etc., that are going to create value add. And if you look at it, that might be the area to target because that pay-per-click is going to be less, but these clients are willing to pay maybe up to $10,000 for the services. So you got to weigh what the strategy is to go get this done. But always remember, it is a placement strategy. Now, here's another thing Google is not going to tell you when you sign up for pay-per-click. Most people these days, I think majority of the searches, about 87%, are not done on an iPad at a desktop where you see everything. It's done on a mobile phone. And guess what? They do this on purpose, is that the first you're going to see the sponsor results. You're not going to see the organic search results on the first page. It's going to be diminished. It's going to be a little bit muted. It's there. You know how to search if you're in the industry. But if you're not, you're just going to see one of those ads and you click on it. And so that way, what happens? You're not really getting up there. And then if you look at like lawyers near me, first you get the sponsored people that are coming in Google Maps. Then you get the for sponsor results. And by the time you get to organic search, it's not there. Putting money into this, you need to have a very specific outcome in mind. Who's your target customer? And have good positioning at the forefront to get a lower pay-per-click rate. I choose more organic methods because it's not going to help you in the beginning as you're starting up. It gets very expensive. On a side note, I remember being in a business where we had a competitor and one of my colleagues would go on the side and click, click, click. I'm not saying it was ethical, but he would sit there and cost that business money. So you also have to see, are you getting good click-through rates? Are people actually signing up? What is the lead rate? These are key metrics to watch. How many sales am I actually getting from this? Now, here's a stat that's also going to blow your mind. But in 2024, they did a research and 58% of the time when you do a search, the end result are 0 clicks, not even 1 click. Why? Because Google's AI engine is answering that query for the person. So therefore, pay-per-clicks, it's not accomplishing what you think. If let's say 6 out of 10 people aren't even going to use a click. And Google, to keep up with a lot of the ad spend, that just means things get more expensive when they're not delivering the value that they need. You can't target as effectively as you once did. So if 58%, it's not ending that way. And now when you have more people using AI models, I'm sure that number is quite a bit higher. I want to be clear. I'm not telling you that SEO has zero value. What I am saying is when you're putting money and you're paying for SEO and you're paying $3,000 to $5,000 for an agency to optimize the keywords, are you getting the right return on investment? Is this increasing sales? And if it's not, then you might want to take a look at some more organic methodologies, which we'll discuss later on. So how do you solve this? This really comes back down in the beginning. Remember that sequence I talked to you about, product, position. It becomes creating a niche of one. When you create a niche of one, that's what customers are going to think about. And they're going to go to your site with even out a click. Creating a niche of one means that you understand their pain so well, you're speaking directly to the pain and you're creating urgency. So they want to buy immediately. That's what creating a niche of one is. And you can do this pretty much in any industry. It takes a little bit of time, but it can happen. Understand what the niche of one can deliver you. Ultimately, you want the customer in buying mode where no other alternative will solve their urgent needs now. That makes higher value customers that don't sit there and want to get into a price war. Remember, SEO is a great placement strategy that comes after good work in the first two P's, the product positioning and the pricing. Let's talk about Google reviews. Google reviews are real and they matter, but not as promotion. It's a bottom of the funnel metric that it really provides. And what it answers at the bottom of the funnel is, can I trust them? And is it safe? It is not a top of funnel promotion strategy. So when a buyer searches your company directly, it usually comes from a referral, word of mouth, or a referral from another business or a networking group, a social media post. Those are the natural ways people are going to discover your company. The Google reviews help validate that decision. That's all they do. And that's all they do really well. All a Google review does is help them solidify their buying decision and takes friction out of the buying process. It never, ever initiates the buying process. Now, if you also take a look at it, look how much we are now being trained not to really trust reviews. Go on to Amazon, look at things. Before, you had to have the FTC come in and say, listen, if you're an influencer, if you got a free product, you got to note that. And so they put it in there and they say Vine reviewer. And some of those are really honest. And some of those, they write this big, long thing that gets really boring. Too long, don't read, TLDR. But when it comes to reviews online with Google, you don't know what to trust. You've been there, you've read them. Oh, this is great. One or two words. They don't go into detail. Or if they do go into detail, then you're like, is this really real? And as you go there and it's not up to the expectations of their review, which we've all experienced, you just don't trust reviews as much. So going on a strategy to really hone in on Google reviews is important, but it's not going to do what you think it does. I'm not saying Google reviews are not important. You should still do those, but that should be an outcome of your positioning and your customer service, not as a promotion strategy. So there was another research done in 24. They said 98% of Google reviews did not come from a Google search, or the reason to buy didn't come from a Google search. All the Google review did was take friction out after the customer found it from social media. So again, the review validates the referral, not the other way around, or the review gets the referral. This goes back to one of the initial discussion points, 60-40. If you're spending $500 a month to help boost reviews and you have nothing on the brand acquisition strategy, you're not doing yourself any good. Your return on investment is much less than you think. Okay, I want to be precise why this keeps happening. It's not that your agency is dishonest. There is a place for Google ranking and Google reviews. I 100% agree with that. But the thing is that your agencies do not have a financial incentive to have another play that are focused on SEO and Google reviews. That is their play. And they keep it confusing on purpose. Because the real reason you're not ranking higher or getting better reviews comes in your positionings and your pricing and the referrals that you get from that, not from what they're doing. So SEO agencies, their whole value prop is built about you ranking. Their positioning is built about ranking. It's not telling you that this might not be the right strategy right now, focusing on placement. They're going to tell you it's focused on ranking and they'll give you all these stats. The data doesn't support it. I want to be clear, what they're doing is not malicious. But as a chief growth officer, a CGO, your focus is on growing revenue, not vanity metrics, or not metrics that are really not going to grow revenue at this time. You're going to be focused on how do we close more customers? How do we help them take out the friction and buy faster? Not are we optimizing the placement online? The only person who can give you that, who's not compromised by SEO, is someone looking at growth where they're focused on revenue growth, not just ranking growth. If they're only focused on ranking growth, you are going to get the results of that ranking. I'm Brandon Fears, and this is Growth Physics. It really comes down to the science of business and understanding the numbers that really drive your business and understanding the numbers that don't drive your business based on the latest research. The next segment is a critical one. I'm actually going to break down some numbers and show you what your spend achieves and where to spend it depending on your results. If you look at the SMB administration, they're going to tell you it's between 5 and 8% if you're established and between 22 and 28% if you are a new to market company. Those numbers are so wide. How do you really make sense of that? Do you know what's right for your company? And we'll talk about tricks of how to optimize. I have a 3-step questionnaire that you can go through to figure out, am I spending the right amount of money? Hang on for the next episode.